It's a very human story. That's what I'm really excited for the audience to get a sense of the great cast that we have.
I love the relationship we have. When you're in a scene, it's free and it's intimate. Yeah, it's fun.
I thought about what it would be like to have to leave everyone you love behind, what it would be like to have to live a life where you live cut off, always telling yourself that you're doing it for the greater good. I was very moved by that.
My favorite part of any process is the feeling of an ensemble, is a collaboration, is working with the actors and creating something.
There's such a great ensemble feel to this cast.
I came in late enough that when I met with Chris, he had the headshots on the wall of who was there, and I got to see that, you know, it was McConaughey and Anne, and Lithgow was on there, Michael Caine.
It's all in the casting. I mean, Chris knew what he was doing when he put these people together.
It's about human beings and the relationships between human beings. But for me, when you're dealing with the vastness of the universe, it's going to have to be the most ambitious film you've done. And that takes a number of different forms.
He loves to work from reality. When we turn around and say, oh, a dust storm, you figured you were going to just look at an empty landscape and that they'd put it in later for us, so we would have to pretend. No.
Chris wants to always do as much as you can, practical. I mean, if you can achieve it in camera, that's always the goal.
If you're shooting someplace that's cold, I find it helpful to feel the cold.
How would you recreate the biggest glacier in Europe in a studio? You wouldn't.
He takes us to these exotic locations and creates a planetary atmosphere. He's filling the screen with a real image that feels real because it is real.
The initial impetus for the project had been to say, why not examine real possibilities? Where has the world got to in terms of its thinking about gravity being able to traverse dimensions, the gravitational lensing, the effects of gravity on light around the black hole? Why not actually look at the real science there?
Luckily, we had Kip, and Kip is the foremost authority on all things gravitational.
The thing that makes this different is that real science was woven into this film from the beginning and woven in deeply.
The visual effects department under Paul Franklin and everybody at Double Negative took Kip's data and they created real visual representations.
What the algorithms gave us was extremely spectacular.
Neither wormholes nor black holes have been depicted in any Hollywood movie in the way that they actually would appear. This is the first time that the depiction began with Einstein's general relativity equations from the outset.
Un tempo alzavamo lo sguardo al cielo, sentendoci parte del firmamento. Ora lo abbassiamo preoccupati, intrappolati nel fango. Questo mondo è una ricchezza, ma è da un pezzo che ci sta dicendo di andarcene.
The initial impetus for the project had been to say, why not examine real possibilities? Why not actually look at the real science there?
Luckily, we had Kip, and Kip is the foremost authority on all things gravitational.
The warping of space inside here scatters some of it back, light scattering off of the surface of a rippled ocean. Neither wormholes nor black holes have been depicted in any Hollywood movie in the way that they actually would appear. This is the first time that the depiction began with Einstein's general relativity equations.
The visual effects department under Paul Franklin and everybody at Double Negative took Kip's mathematical data and they created real visual representations of what a black hole is meant to look like.
The collaboration has produced visualization of things which nobody had ever managed to do before. You know, we potentially may have discovered a couple of new things that were lurking there inside the mathematics, inside the physics.
I worked out the equations that would enable him to do the gravitational lensing. And so you have light that comes from a star behind the black hole. It may come in, go around the black hole several times, and then come to the camera. And so you wind up with several different images of the star.
The black hole warps the space so much, it just looks like you're looking at a strange sort of funnel in the sky with this intensely black circle at the middle of it. But the gravity of the black hole draws in all the matter from the surrounding universe. And this spins out into a giant disk around the central sphere. And as it whirls in towards the center, the gas gets hotter and hotter. And this thing, the accretion disk around it, shines brilliantly. And then we found that if you then render this whole thing, you visualize it all through this extraordinary gravitational lens, the gravity twists this glowing disk of gas into weird shapes, and you get this extraordinary sort of rainbow of fire across the top of the black hole.
And I saw this disk wrap up over the black hole and under the black hole. I'd known it intellectually, but knowing it intellectually is completely different than seeing it, than feeling it.
We had determined when we started down this road that if it didn't look like something that would be comprehensible to the audience, we would have to manipulate it in some way. But what we found was, as long as we didn't change the point of view too much of the camera position, we could get some very understandable tactile imagery from those equations. They were constantly surprising. Spoke to the maxim that, truth can be stranger than fiction.
We're going to write several technical papers about this. One aimed at the astrophysics community, and then something for the computer graphics community, saying, here are some things that we've discovered about gravitational lensing by rapidly spinning black holes that we never knew before. So this collaboration isn't over until we've given some sense of the things that we've learned.